So what do I think about Uncharted: The Lost Legacy? Because I definitely had my doubts going into it. I made a video about that. Said these are all the things that I feel like they're gonna have to somehow tackle in this game for me to enjoy it. The two biggest ones for me was the story. The story's got to be good, obviously, right? Always. And they're gonna have to figure out a way to make it the right length, keep the pace correct. The beautiful thing about an Uncharted game is, and I'm talking about Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 because Uncharted 4 kind of broke the mold on this a bit. Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 was able to deliver an action-packed experience with a good story, but the pace was perfect. Boom, boom, boom. You went from combat sequence to combat sequence. There was usually an action set piece that got you from one point to the other, right? You running away from a helicopter or something like that. And it just totally made sense and it flowed correctly. And even things like collectibles, like treasures. You had 100 treasures in those first 3 games, right? And it never felt like a chore to go out and collect those things because, like I said, you're in a linear experience. So, you know, there's only so many places that those things can be. And I like that because I never for once said to myself, I need to go treasure hunt. And by doing that, I'm going to kind of stop the story. Does that make sense? Like the story's going to stop in place while I go out and collect 50 treasures. And then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to resume the story. I always felt like I was picking up the treasures as I'm going through and doing the story. So the pace to me in the first 3 games was perfect. I don't know why in Uncharted 4 they decided to just break that and do something else. I applaud developers and publishers for trying to do something new, but I don't see why you do that with a franchise that already has an established formula and it works better than most, right? And everybody likes it. So I didn't get it. I still don't understand it. You guys know my gripes about it. But all of those things carried into Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. We still have stealth. We still have these open combat encounters. We still have these, I'm not going to call them like truly open world experiences, but you know what I mean? Like chapter 4 is pretty open. You can do whatever you want to do, that type of thing. So if all that stuff carried over, how can I still like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy? In this game, the pace, because like I said, this game is not 20 something chapters long, right? I guess it's 9 chapters and then there's a prologue. So 10, we'll just call it 10, you know, just to make it even. And some of those like the prologue and chapter 1, like the prologue built up just the fact that Chloe was in existence again, right? It took probably, you can play the prologue in about 2 minutes. And it was just to get you familiarized with Chloe again. Boom, real simple, done. And then you get chapter 1, just to build up the relationship between Chloe and Nadine, right? Done. I mean, it was quick and it was action packed. You had the rooftop chase sequence there at the end. You had stealth at the beginning. It's a good balance. It was perfect, right? Then you get into chapter 3, introduces you to the open world a bit. It's fairly fast though. You can get through chapter 3 in no time flat. Gets you familiar with the ledging and the grappling hook and all that kind of stuff. Builds up a little bit more story between the two because they got the Jeep conversations that they have. And then there's still some combat in there. And chapter 3, The Outskirts Ruins, is a pretty good little combat sequence to finish that chapter up with. Then you get into 4, which is where I thought the game was just going to go absolutely bonkers and I was going to start hating it. And I have to admit, I didn't like it on my first run of the game because I didn't know exactly what I had to do to be able to complete chapter 4, right? I was doing everything because I was going around getting all the collectibles. And I was like, well, it's going to be cool when I play this game back through to just play chapter 4 and do exactly what I have to do to be able to complete this chapter and see what the pace is like. And since then I've played it and you can do chapter 4 in like a half hour. I mean, it's quick and that's a lot of content that you have to take care of there. And you can do it, like I said, in about a half hour. It's super fast and it plays fast. And I like that. You get to the story, but you also have that pace. It's like I said, the thing I didn't like about Uncharted 4 was the pace. And this game has the perfect pace. Once you get to chapter 5, things start going fast, boom, boom, boom. By the time you know it, guys, you're at the end. The pace and the story was perfect for this game. Like I said, the fact that I can just go through 4, treat it like a linear experience, right? I can just go to those forts, do the puzzles, do the thing, and then go straight to the Ganesh mountain carving gate and be out. Like I said, in about a half hour. That's perfect for me. So if I had to put all this stuff in order, I would put Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, for me, above Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4, in my opinion, for me, is the last, is at the bottom of the pile when it comes to Uncharted games. If I had to rank them, it would be at the bottom. But I think that the way that they packaged Uncharted 4 was just unnecessary. They made a lot of choices that just simply didn't need to make, right? To pull that game off. And I know, like I said, a lot of those carried into Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, but they did it right in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy because it's $40. It's, we'll just say, roughly 10 chapters if you count the prologue, and you're in, you're out, you get the story, the pace is high. Like I said, even in the open world environment, when you go from point A to point B to point C, right, do those objectives, it's fast. The game plays, it feels like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, even though it has all those elements in it that I don't particularly like the stealth and all that kind of stuff. It feels like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Uncharted 4 feels like its own thing because, like I said, it has all those bloated elements to it with the fact that you have to introduce Sam. You're introducing all these gameplay mechanics, these big environments. Sometimes they got 30 plus enemies in them. You know, it's a lot to take in for the final game in the series. I was very nervous about this game when I first heard about it. Like I said, I've done plenty of videos, but I'm up here to tell you right now, man, that I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you were nervous like me, don't be. Like I said, on your collectible run, it might get a little bit boring. In chapter 4, that's going to be your biggest hurdle. There's a lot of collectibles in there, and I'm going to talk about collectibles in another video, address that, because I felt like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy had way too many collectibles. I thought Uncharted 4 had way too many collectibles, and stuff you had to do felt like fluff content. But all in all, if I had to put all the pros and the cons on a sheet of paper, the pros win for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. It's a great game, guys. You know I don't do scores. I think scores are silly, so I'm not going to give it no 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or nothing like that. It's just good, and you owe it to yourself to play it if you're an Uncharted fan. If you're not an Uncharted fan, you owe it to yourself to play it because it's just good, right? And definitely for $40, it's a great buy. And that's it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. See you in the next one. You guys be good.